Righto, so welcome to the second episode of this week's Fun Facts with Liam, and this is another historical. Well, obviously this is a history channel, but this one comes um, 21 to 22 years after the previous episode. So this one is concerning warfare in World War One, because I think World War One, in terms of like events and what people did and ingenuity and etc., is kind of a bit overlooked in comparison to World War Two, possibly. Um, other than the whole, um, I think the most overrated thing about World War One is the whole, Gavlar friendship thing and Archduke Franz Ferdinand and Germany trying to push into Belgium and UK getting involved and France getting involved, to start with, all that kind of stuff. But this one is about firearms. The a gun that was nicknamed the Villar Perosa. Um, it was the Pistola something. I kind of I've read it a couple of times, and plus pronunciation and stuff like that. I can't quite remember the full name, but it was made, I think, by Fiat of all people. Aka the Italian car company, and this was, for its time in 1915, a very advanced but kind of chaotic machine gun. It was mainly to, spray bullets. If you're familiar with the site TV Tropes, it pretty much embodies, the more Daka um, side of shooting the shit out of things. Um, and also, if you're also a Boardwalk Empire fan like I am, um, it was pretty much like a trench broom. I think it was pretty much the um, it, in a way, I think it was a spiritual predecessor of the Thompson submachine gun. You know, which was also called the Chicago typewriter, and when Al Capone, um, infamously used it in the 1920s. Um, but this gun was made by um, basically Italian troops sticking to essentially sticking to um, not as advanced machine guns together, and basically I guess they wanted a weapon that could just tear people apart without having to try and aim too much, because when it's World War One, apart from the trench warfare stuff, you had basically a lot of World War One warfare still had the um, kind of the remnants of the kind of charge at the enemy kind of thing, um, attitude from like Boer Wars and Ethiopian Wars and um, Mexican American Wars. When the Americans joined later on in World War One, that kind of mentality. Um, so yeah, that was the Villa Perosa um, submachine gun made by Fiat, and it sounds weird, doesn't it? But if you look into the history of, like, say, um, Persia, they in World War Two later on they made fighter planes, and also way back before any of that kind of stuff, before World War One, World War Two, and military ingenuity. They were also a pepper pepper mill fat yeah peppercorn pepper mill factory before um and in between whatever, making cars, and also, um, yeah, little in between fun fact along with that one about the Persia thing. Um, Tanks. The reason why we use the name tanks for the tanks, and Germans are the only ones that can name that call them Panzerfausts, because it probably means something entirely different. It's from an old code name proposed by none other than Winston Churchill when he was still a war correspondent speaking of the Boer War. And this would have been like, I think he was still a war correspondent in World War One. And the tank, the name and the name of the tank at least came about around the same time as the title Italian machine submachine gun of this episode. If you can call it a submachine gun, I think there's a difference. My dad knows more about firearms than I do, a lot, but because he's into his military history, World War One and World War Two, more World War Two, but yeah, um, but yeah, tanks. From the name tank is in at least, you know in Anglo-ish kind of terms, is from a code name that's stuck. Churchill proposed the idea so as to throw off the Germans, so they wouldn't, cotton on they were making a weapon, because it was basically, pretend you're making fish tanks, and the Germans somehow fell for that. They probably thought that, oh, the English pig dogs aren't even asked. Um, we've got them dead to rights, whatever. So, that so this will be easy. But tanks, no, tanks flattened them in the Battle of Ypres, something like that in France. Or Belgium. Yeah, Belgium in 1915, around the same time that uh, uh, the Via Perosa was developed, around the same year. So yeah, that was the second episode of Fun Facts with Liam. Well, this week, so you get the gist by now, or ages ago, whatever. So yeah, remember to like, subscribe, comment, and bye bye for now.